You're looking at two absolute S-rank TVs go head-to-head. However, I must say, this is one of the more impressive comparisons I think I've ever done. So to the left, we have the Samsung Q8FN from 2018. To the right, we have the Hisense U75QG. Now, this came as a request for many in the community who wanted to see how something older compares to newer technology. For those that don't know, the Q8FN has full array local dimming, only 40 zones of it, and metal quantum dots, or quantum dots wrapped in metal. And this cutie mini LED doesn't have metal wrapped quantum dots, but it does have smaller zones, giving more granular control over the local dimming. In English, it's supposedly going to give it deeper blacks. Now, in some cases, that's totally what happens, but in others, not so much. And then it ends up looking hazier than the full array, which is absolutely wild. Now, I can safely say, like, looking at them with my bare eye, I would have to call this at a tie. And that is absolutely insane to be able to say that, because normally it would be impossible to tie with something that has newer technology, but newer genuinely isn't always better. But I will also see you and raise you and say, I do see why I was so passionate about the Hisense U75QG. It's basically a Q8FN. I mean, there are some nuanced differences here and there, which we will talk about, but it is essentially a Q8FN, more or less. Now, again, sometimes highlights are brighter on the Q8FN, sometimes highlights are brighter on the Hisense. They do trade back and forth, again, nuanced differences. But the overall impact in the feeling, 100% Q8FN level. And that, my friends, is where you have a massive, massive win. Now, again, it's not in every color. Samsung does tend to edge it out in terms of accuracy of certain colors. Again, I will give you some examples of that. But at face value, can we just appreciate that a 2018 TV is actually tying with a TV that sparked the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II and held its own against the Samsung S95F and a bunch of other TVs? I mean, can we just appreciate that there is a 2018 TV that was truly ahead of its time? Now, why this is a big deal for me is I remember back in that time, people called me out of my name, said I was absolutely crazy. I was trying to validate or justify my purchase, all for saying that the Samsung Q8FN is ahead of its time and it was an OLED slayer. I kid you not, like literally a few moments ago, I had my wife in the test lab here and I had her just look at the TV. And before I switched out the TVs, I had the Samsung S95F on the display here on the media console, and she thought it was the S95F. That's how good the Q8FN looks. I mean, it's amazing. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have moments where its age shows. Of course, it has those moments, but I think overall, consistently, the impact of the picture is just ridiculous. Now, again, I don't know what YouTube is going to show you, but I'm going to tell you what my naked eye sees, and hopefully you guys can see a little bit of what I'm talking about. There is extreme clarity on the Hisense. That can't be denied. The clarity on the Hisense is far, far greater than the Samsung in some examples, but pause right here. And an example like this, it's not. The Samsung has deeper blacks with less haze, and the Hisense actually has more haze. Now, to illustrate this, I'm going to open up the brightness of the camera, or sensitivity to light, known as ISO, so you can see what I'm talking about. I think maybe right about here, you might be able to see what I'm talking about. You just have richer, deeper contrast here. Everything is generally darker than over here, where it's a bit more hazier by comparison. You can see in the beard, there's less detail and contrast. So again, the older TV has these weird moments where it can absolutely pull ahead to a level that I don't think anybody was prepared to admit. Now, again, when we have our ISOs down really low, you're not going to see all that stuff, which is why I have to ramp it back up. Like, pause, like right here, they're literally identical. They're alike for like. The clarity is higher on the Hisense in things like the pillars. So that's where the depth enhancement technology, that's the new upgrade that you're going to get with the Hisense. Depth enhancement is just on another level when you look again at the pillars. They are very three-dimensional, where these are just a little bit more flat by example. However, that chandelier, I mean, they are literally identical with the naked eye, and I would actually give the edge to the Samsung because it's getting those crystals and all the details in them just jet black, like really inky, and it looks so very good. Again, regardless of what YouTube's showing you, I'm telling you what I see, so generally take what I say as kind of the only thing that matters, because the play-by-play doesn't lie. And again, as I look at it, Hisense has extreme clarity. Again, going back to that, that's their big strong suit, but the highlight detail on the Samsung is immaculate. I mean, immaculate. It's just really bright with those small highlights. And that's one thing that the Q8FN did that I think is so very special. Now, again, in a scene like this, I think it's amazing that a TV with only 40 zones of full array local dimming is edging out the Hisense right now. If we open up our brightness to show you, there's just more haze and more glow around objects and everything that does not appear on the full array with less zones of dimming control. This is like where you kind of have to scratch your head and go like, what the hell? Also, I even see a little bit more haze here in the armor where this is just pure and contrasty and it's separated. You would think it was the mini LED by comparison. And that's where I like get to these moments, right? Where I'm just like, what the hell is actually happening? Like, what actually is happening? Because look at this. Look at all the contrast. Look at the black levels comparatively. This only has 40 zones of full array local dimming. And look at how good the black levels look comparatively to a QD Mini LED from 2025. This thing was made in 2018. Now, if I can get you to understand, just for a second, that if it could look this good in 2025, imagine back then when OLEDs and all other LEDs weren't at this level. This is how ahead of its time Samsung genuinely was back then when they were challenging OLEDs like the LG. And when I was comparing against those LGs back then, this is why this was beating them. Because it's so incredibly strong as a competitor and as a television that honestly, when you get to these points, I mean, it's so clear. Like the black levels are immaculate. They're gorgeous. You have excellent shadow detail control beyond pause, beyond what Hisense is exhibiting. I mean, I hate to say it, but Hisense is just more hazy by comparison. Like I'm noticing a lot more issues pop up in the fire here, where the fire over here is just inky and is dark. It's contrasted is what I would say. The light to dark is separated brilliantly, where over here, not so much. You have a lot more issues when you get to these high contrast scenes on the Hisense. Pause right here. I mean, that fire has way more glow on the Hisense. We'll just open up our ISO to show you. Look, there, it's glowing. It's doing exactly what I'm telling you. It's glowing in the fire area down here, where over here, it's not glowing. 40 zones of full array local dimming. Insane. Ahead of its time. Ahead of its time. So again, when I showed these examples over the years and people were just like, that's impossible, you're lying, you're just trying to make one look worse than the other, you're trying to make it look better. Like, I tell you guys, I don't have to lie. And over the course of time, everything comes to light anyway. So, I mean, if I was lying, anything in the darkness will come to light regardless of how anyone feels. And I just find it amazing. Now, right here, where they had that little chest piece break, I mean, they both looked identical as far as black levels. They really did. I'll try to get it right about there. They look identical. I mean, I do notice a bit more of, I'll open up the brightness again, center blooming on the Samsung now. I'm noticing that there is a bloom trail happening right here, but it's so very faint. This is what you end up getting with the lower zones. This kind of still has the center zone blooming. It's just very much more subdued, and you do have a bit more detail within that. So it's not like the mini LEDs aren't doing anything. Again, it's just they're doing different things, and that's something we should be taking note of. Okay, and then I'm going to pause right here because it's always amazing to me to watch how TVs think and process. And again, as I look at it, and as you look at it, I'm sure you can probably see this. This 40 zone TV, full array TV, is keeping up brilliantly with something that is brand new. Something that has cutting edge technology that this couldn't even hope to have. If it had that kind of control, it would be amazing. Now, another point of this video and making it and just kind of going over some things as we look at, you know, what's going on screen is, if it looked this good back then, there's no excuse why the current full arrays or QLEDs on the market aren't every bit as good as the Q8FN. It's greed to make you pay more money and repackage the same thing and just sell it later down the line. I'm 100% convinced of that, because when I look at certain examples like this demo really opened my eyes. Okay, when we look at the bright scenes and what it does for bright scenes, it's tremendous. And I could only categorize it as tremendous because look at how it's competing side by side. I mean, look at those colors. They're brilliant. And this TV is old. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's old. And it has this kind of contrast that, again, pause. Just look at what it's doing. You have beautiful, bright highlight separation, way brighter than what we have on the Hisense over there. So Hisense is missing out in the brightness department right there. And then again, you look at all those fine details and it's equivalent to Hisense. Now, why this is important in a bright scene like this, you look at the blades of grass and everything, very, very sharp. And then you look over on the Hisense, they're just a little bit more flat by comparison. And the colors are more accurate on the grass and everything. This is important because the Hisense has new technology like AI super resolution and AI contrast. So even with AI, artificial intelligence processing in the background, this is still better. And it has none of that. So I genuinely feel like when they put AI on the box, it's kind of bullshit because of examples like this. Because yes, we can get swept away in the marketing of it all. We can go, wow, AI picture processing, that must be amazing. Okay, pause. Here's my 2018 Q8FN. Is AI doing that much more? No. In fact, I would say that the Q8FN has better highlights along the edges of this puppy here, and it just looks generally cleaner with clear, distinct contrast, giving me better depth in these brighter scenes, separating it very beautifully where this is not doing that to that degree. Again, don't know what YouTube's going to show you, can only tell you what I see. But as I look at it with my naked eye, I'm seeing that these two TVs could easily pass as twins in some examples. This is ridiculous. I mean, look at this. Look at this. AI, depth enhancement. Come on, man. Okay, so this is where I get passionate about this because, technology, it's improving for sure, but I don't think it's improving to the degree that marketing makes it sound like it's improved. Like a lot of the marketing makes it look like it will just crush everything that has ever come before it. And that's not the case. Now, is it better in some instances in areas of picture quality? For sure. I'm sure you could run this back and pause this video and splice it up any which way from Sunday to find examples where it was really strong performing. But counteractively, I'm sure you see every bit of the picture quality that the Q8FN has, and it's a tie. Undoubtedly, I can't give the edge to the Hisense, pause right here, or the Samsung. I mean, look it. The Samsung is brighter. So if you're noticing a lack of maybe color or detail, it's probably because it's just bright. And there's no real way for my camera to meter correctly for both TVs. Now, in English, metering is racking exposure or general scene brightness. So I can't get this TV to be appropriately bright for the brightness fluctuations of this TV or the brightness changes in this TV while also doing that for this TV. There's not such a thing as dual metering where it splits half the sensor and focuses on one end and then the other. It doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, it's just a general scene or maybe center focus, but it will never do both. Right? And so that's why we have issues where sometimes one will look maybe more washed out or off, and so you got to go back and forth. HDR technologies try to fix this in cameras, but the point is you're dependent on commentary to know what's really going on. And what's really going on here is, Samsung is sharp as hell. Hisense is really detailed, beautiful color. I don't want for anything on either of these, if I'm being honest with you. I look at both of these and the impact, except for like that raccoon scene, I'll run that back. Okay, the raccoon scene was a little weak for Hisense, if I'm being honest here, which, again, that's the whole thing we do. We're always honest about what we see, okay? The Samsung is crushing the Hisense right now. The black levels in this brighter scene, the contrast of this tree separation, the depth, it just pulls you in. It's like looking through a TV versus looking at a TV in this example. So here's a clear example to where AI is failing you. So even though they have the modern technologies, even though they have the higher prestige as far as cutting edge features, it's not going to make a difference in every single scene. And this is something that literally no other YouTuber is saying. They just will sell you the next thing and move on. But I'm telling you for your sake, and which is why, again, I hold on to my TVs, all right? I think the most realistic thing I do here with my channel is I make sure we're not just covering ground to cover ground and buying TVs to buy TVs. We find champions, we recommend champions, along with, of course, giving buyer's guides and giving you information to help you not have that buyer's remorse when you pick something, right? But you're seeing it in real time. This is what it looks like when I recommend a champion. Here we are in 2025, and look at that. All these years later, contrast is tremendous. Look at the background. This, guys, this is a big deal because the Hisense is practically the most contrasted TV this entire year. Like, it's been very difficult for other TVs to keep up on this playing field as far as contrast. So the fact that 40 zones of full array local dimming from 2018 is still doing that, the Q8FN is a beast ahead of its time. I've been saying it, and I will continue to do so because it's true. You know, and again, referencing back in the day when, it was just me, Artings, and maybe Digital Trends that would do these reviews. I'm telling you, there were so many people that just were like, oh, screw this guy, just watch Artings and Digital Trends. This guy knows nothing. He's a clown. He's saying that this Samsung has better contrast than an OLED. He's a liar. Look at the contrast. 2025. This thing is keeping up with QD OLEDs. We've already proven that. And look at what this thing is doing. Hello. I just vindicated myself, you know what I mean? I mean, not that I had to, but it kind of, you know what I mean? It proves itself with time. Now, you think those people that were talking shit are going to go back and be like, you know what, you were right, I was wrong? No, of course not. They're going to continue to stay silent like everybody who's ever talked shit about you in your personal life. But I mention this to show you, when I say something is fantastic, I don't lie. Now, that does not take anything away from the Hisense. What the Hisense is doing is tremendous as well. Look at the contrast. It renders things so three-dimensionally. Again, it's in some instances like now, it's like looking through a TV versus at one. And you can't get around that. And the impressive thing is, here's the thing that no one is talking about. Pause right here. This TV is only $700, $699 before taxes for the 55-inch variation. This TV cost me about $1,600 on sale back then. So apples to apples, this still is way more picture quality per dollar per square inch. Like, you're getting way more out of the price point. Now, again, the greens look better on the Samsung. Again, the balls here in this pin look better on the Hisense because, again, modern color has improved. So we're able to get darker and richer color. But this is also due to Hisense's method of color adjustment. They have a color management system where you can adjust saturation, brightness, and the hue, and that gives you the ability to really dial in the colors, where Samsung just does red, green, and blue, and you need to mix the colors together to get the one you want, but that does nothing for the brightness. Now, the new Samsungs, like the S95D, do have a feature called per color adjustment, which lets you, on the darker spectrum, like 50% and 75%, darken the colors to get closer to this, and it does have massive contrast gains. But for all intents and purposes, talking about where we are today, this is what the TV that I have in front of me is performing like. Either way, still very fantastic. I mean, look at these images. Pause right here. Look at this Yorkie. Look at the contrast right now, okay? Coming off of something that is just old. It's just old. You're talking 2018, 2018. Come on now. And then you're looking at, again, 2025. This is the max brightness, by the way. This is as bright as it gets. This is not max brightness. If I were to put this TV at max brightness, it would blow this thing out of the water as far as the highlight detail, but it wouldn't be very accurate. So again, both TVs have been dialed into my specifications. For anybody who ever wonders about that, I made sure to do that. I will also show you an out-of-the-box comparison, since people like to see that. Again, I guess I'm doing it a little late, but I am the difference maker between what you're seeing on screen, so and what you'll get out of the box. Not that you could buy a Q8FN out of the box, but I'll show you what it looked like out of the box. But just for all intents and purposes, look at the kind of contrast you're getting off of a full array. It's monstrous. It's downright ridiculously monstrous that a full array has this kind of picture quality. It's very three-dimensional, very rich picture quality, and I think that's incredible. But now let's show you what both of these look like out of the box and then go from there. Okay, so I put the Samsung in the movie mode here, and the Hisense is in energy saving. Now, if we want, we could also put it in theater day, but I feel like that looks a little yellow. I guess we could keep it there, though, for movie mode to movie mode. Fuck it. Okay? And now, this is what both look like out of the box. Far cry from where it was, and a massive difference between the two now. I mean, the Hisense is brighter for sure, but neither is giving that picture quality where you're like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, both kind of look like, if I'm being honest, garbage. I mean, they don't look like top flight TVs. They look really dull and very dingy, and I mean, it isn't impressive. Samsung is in some ways retaining better detail. So, I mean, there's that. Reds are a little pink on the Samsung. I mean, but I think everybody can kind of agree that this doesn't look quite nice, right? There is more vibrancy on the Hisense out of the box. So if you're just whipping the thing out of the box, not doing any effort, and you're trying to figure out, well, how would these TVs stack up? Well, yeah, the newer TV will be a bit more vibrant out of the box. And this is why, guys, I say out of the box comparisons are extremely and wildly deceptive, because they genuinely have you thinking a whole ass monster. I'll pause right here just so you can see how dramatic this change is about to be. They genuinely have you believing whole ass monsters like this are just dingy and washed out and dull like this. Because when you watch YouTubers that only do out of the box comparisons, they don't use features to get it where it needs to go. They're just promoting what out of the box gets you. Like, hey, if you're an everyman like me, you have no experience like me, this is what your Samsung's gonna look like. And who wants to pay a calibrator $500 to do that? Most people aren't gonna calibrate. No, most people are not going to calibrate, but I can almost guarantee you everybody who takes picture quality serious will at least grab the remote to try to make settings of their own. Now, I wanna show you what it looks like if you join my membership for $5, okay? This is an old discontinued TV, this is a new one. I have no reason to lie about this, as you can't even buy this anymore. So you get to see the direct transformation that my results have on these TVs, okay? The ground is like bluish gray, like not even dirt color, and this is like a greenish color. Doesn't even look right. I mean, this is what you're going to get out of the box. Now, here's what happens when you have this expert here over at Quantum TV show you what's up. And there you go. This is the difference between my work and out of the box work. You remember how blue and gray it was? Now it looks like dirt again. You remember how green it was? Now it looks like dirt. This is the difference when you have an actual master of their craft put effort into settings. Now, again, I'm only selling my settings for $5. Some people don't like it because it's a quotation mark paywall, but the channel doesn't run itself for free. Crowd and self-funding, very transparent about how we make our money here. And the reason I do that is so you don't feel like any corporation is buying us off when we give verdicts. And this is one of my favorite things to do, because it doesn't get any more clear-cut and dry than showing a TV from ages ago, being like, hey, look at this old-ass TV versus this new TV, and look at the results. Aren't they just amazing? Because here you have an old piece of technology that still keeps up decently. The contrast is still better here now, but you do have it keeping up. I wouldn't say beating it. It's at a tie, because the brightness here, absolutely insane. But the contrast now, contrast is amazing here too. And so it gets to this fun point when you do these comparisons where you can see how technology has progressed over the years and what's different in each area of technology. Like, I know that highlights were a massive thing back in 2018. They focused on smaller highlights more than they're doing now in 2025. Like in 2025, they're just like, fuck it. We're not going to put that much effort into the smaller highlights. We don't need to do that. But look at how blistering it is here. Beautiful small highlights. They're to die for. And that's what really got, new TV customers back in 2018 more excited to buy than now, because when you'd walk into a store, those small highlights would be seen in demo content. And you'd be like, holy shit, this is amazing. I mean, look at this beautiful contrast. This TV by now, I'll pause right here. This TV, by the way, is edging out, it's completely edging out what we have over here. There isn't any avenue to say that what Hisense is offering has any contrast comparatively in this scene for red than what Samsung is offering. And to show that, I'll try my best to show it. I don't know. Red's the hardest color to record accurately, but I'll raise the brightness so that maybe you can see it, okay? And now it's about as bright as I can get it without destroying the picture. Just super strong contrast on this full array, pillars, everything. This is soft and faded. The table has no contrast in the chair shadows, where over here you have those shadows, and it's hazy over here in the middle, right over here. Like anytime there's a shadow and then there's a bright area, this TV starts getting hazy in the brighter area to keep the shadows. It just doesn't work. Where this, even though it is what it is, it's not mini LED or anything like that, it still gives you better contrast. And when I tell you this is the most incredible looking thing, like you could see an older TV that's still holding its weight. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this. There's no comparison right now. Like, again, open up the brightness here and I will show you. I'll be dramatic with the brightness. And look, this has so much more contrast right now than what this has. This, to the left, the Hisense looks, to be very honest with you, like rather budget end. It doesn't look high end at all. And you're seeing that in the shadow part of the red. And so not every color is going to be a match for match. And this is why I say they tie, because in some instances, the Samsung over here will have weaker black levels. But to the same token about your QD Mini LED to the right over here, I mean, look at this example. Look at how dramatic it gets. When we talk about these brighter scenes, it gets ridiculous. Now I'll go ahead and lower the brightness back down. But I mean, in the brightest examples, the Samsung is nothing to play with at all. It's a rather dangerous TV, if I'm being very honest with you. Like, again, any example where you have bright, like, let's look at this right here, okay? We open this up. Look at the curtain right now. Look at that. It's all just washed compared to how rich and inky and deep it gets. And again, that's what I love the most when I look at these two go head to head, because I'm essentially looking at two polar opposites, honestly. Pause right here. We have one that gets really bright. I'll lower it down because it's going a little crazy with the highlights here. Okay. I'll leave it about right there for now. And you can see, like, they do two incredibly different things. Now, the water over here is trending more green, and the water over here is trending more just flat blue. I could probably get that water a little better. I'm going to try to see if I can get it a little better, because I think I can, and then we're going to go from there. So when you try to get the green out of this, I mean, this is about as good as I could get it. This over here, there's nothing I could do with that. That's just going to be really blue like that. But essentially, I mean, this is where they both compete. Now you can see that, again, they both look good. I don't think that anyone could probably say they look like trash or anything like that, because that would be a stretch. Samsung is a bit too green in the hues here. Overzealous is what I would say as far as their reproduction for green. However, every other color is impressive. And you can kind of see, like, again, look at how the skin tonalities keep up side by side, how they look. I mean, this is kind of crazy to me because one is so much older than the other one. And you would think that it would be beaten to a grander degree, but it just doesn't happen like that. And in fact, I'm finding deeper color here on the Samsung. To the left, Hisense is struggling to keep up in some areas, not all. Contrast looks good here. But they look identical now, more or less. A little extra sharpness here and there in some areas, but they really do look very identical. I mean, the haze on the Hisense now is evident, but that's what I mean. Like, they trade back and forth a grand deal, and way more than I think anyone in the field is willing to admit. Like, I feel like if we're being totally transparent and totally honest about what we're seeing, I mean, I can't say it any other way. This is a TV way ahead of its time, as I've been saying throughout the whole video. I mean, look at how they compare. It's a straight up tie. Like, you couldn't call it anything other than a tie when you look at how they perform. Lower brightness just a little bit in case it's getting a little too much. I mean, they look identical in a lot of these scenes. Like, you notice depth and richness on both of them. They just have a different way of going about shadows and processing and things like that, but they literally are very identical. Blue is better on the Hisense though, a lot better. And now the clarity and everything on the Hisense looks a lot better now. So this is where we're starting to see a benefit for the Hisense with the mini LEDs, but now they look identical. I edge for the Samsung now. They trade back and forth too damn much. They really do. It's one of those too close for comfort type deals. And again, I don't know how well any of this is going to show up. It's just video footage. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Samsung pulling way ahead now in skin tones and the reproduction of that green. Damn, is that shit popping. And you have all the shadow details, inky, deep black levels to die for, beautiful motion. You know, it's pulling ahead. But look at, I mean, come on. This is what it's all about, guys. Seeing older TVs and newer TVs go head to head to see if we're actually getting what we're paying for. What we're paying for is, I mean, look at this. Like, pause. Like, look at the separation of contrast. This is a full array. And look, it's brilliant. Every bit as brilliant as you have over there. Some areas can be darker, like this is a bit darker, this is a bit brighter for highlights, but I told you, small highlights, that's what Samsung focuses on. They brighten it up and make it look really good, and that depth is just to die for. I mean, try to get her face clear like now. I mean, look at the details. I mean, Hisense is a bit dimmer, and they don't have as much saturation in the faces. Samsung has better highlights and better face quality and stuff like that. Probably won't be able to see that on the camera. But I'm telling you, it's there. And it's damn impressive. Like, watching what's happening, like, they look so fucking identical. It's scary, actually, given the years that have passed. And this is, again, going to go back to my point. Newer is not always better, and you don't always need to jump and run to go buy the next latest and greatest, because chances are, if you have something like a Samsung Q8FN from 2018, stop reading the marketing on these TVs and going, oh shit, they got AI, they got super resolution, they got all this stuff I don't have, these tiny mini LEDs, I guess I gotta upgrade it. I'm starting to feel the age of my TV. No, stop it. That's placebo effect right there, because when you have it in front of a newer TV, you get brightness, like now in some instances, but in others, not so much. Like, they give and take a lot together. And they really do compete, I would say, on a very, very brilliant playing field. I don't think that anyone who has a higher tier TV like a Samsung Q8FN needs to upgrade at all for 2025, because look at what you get. Look at the colors. They're brilliant. They're absolutely wonderful, and they still hold the testament of time as time has passed. And here it is, all these years later, kicking ass and taking names and holding its own and all that. And again, while it's not beating the Hisense, it's not getting beaten by it either. Again, there are too many, like now, there's too many examples of crystal clear contrast. I mean, look at them. They're identical. That's pulling ahead now. But you know what I mean? Like, so in some examples, again, like I'm saying, and I need you to hear this, they will literally trade who carries the torch. And when that's the case, I mean, you know you've got yourself a tie. This is about as honest of a tie, I think, as I've ever seen. Where it's like, in the one instance, one pulls ahead and you're like, oh, that has more contrast. And literally the next scene, you'll look to the other TV and be like, oh, now you just did it too. And they will do that the entire time you're recording. And that's how you know you have a tie. And again, looking at the brilliance behind the reds and everything that this is giving, it's great. And Samsung is right there too. They both have tremendous picture quality. And I absolutely love seeing this. So for those who have a Q8FN at their house and they want a Q8FN and they don't want to, I don't know, maybe take a lesser approach, I'd say maybe step up into the 65-inch Hisense U75QG if you want black levels, because this does not have them like that. But if you're okay with a little bit of haze, then the U75QG is definitely Hisense or Samsung Q8FN level. It just is, as you're clearly seeing. They are an honest tie, and they rock hard together. And I would say the Hisense in a lot of ways sparks TVs again way outside of his price range. We're talking upwards of damn near $4,000 that Hisense is still holding up against. But again, look at the Samsung Q8FN from 2018. It's doing the exact same thing. Look how identical they look right now. Can you really say that you spot a clear winner? I can't. I mean, they looked very similar. Now, Hisense had the better highlights in that last scene, but again, that's what I mean, guys. This is a back and forth game, and you do end up with such a trade-off as far as like you win, now you win, that again, call it down the middle. It's a tie, as honest as it is. It's a draw. But I would say it is well fought and honestly fought at that. And I am so glad to tell everybody who believed in my work, who've been following me since at least 2018, from the very first video I did on the Samsung Q8FN, like, your trust in what I do and what I report is rewarded with time. Because again, even people who look at this TV years later will see how strong of a contrast competitor it is. These TVs will continue to hold up greatly because I don't just pick TVs to say, you know, this is my winner, this is the best. I pick something that I look at and I know is timeless, that like years later, you could buy one and it's every bit as good as what's on the market right now. Those are the kind of TVs I recommend to people if you're new here and you don't know. Now, again, I am loving what I'm seeing on both. I really am. And I think you will too. You gotta curve your expectations a little bit. Just curb them a bit so that you're not thinking that you're gonna be getting some, you know, day and night, like, oh my gosh, this is just so much better than everything on the market. Because like a lot of people get really misled out here thinking like, I'm gonna spend a lot of money and then I'm gonna walk away with something that'll beat everything I had, and then you're gonna have a Q8FN and let's say you join my membership for $5 and you get my settings and you see what it's all about, then you're going to be disappointed with your new TV. Like, why did I even pay all this money out when I have this kind of quality? Like, yes, that's nice, but is it so nice that I needed to pay an extra $700? No, because I'm good. That's fantastic. And I can guarantee you, if this picture keeps up with this, it'll spark the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II all the same. It will spark it because this sparked the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II badly. And look at what this is doing comparatively to this. Same kind of deal. That pull you in contrast, that just jack you up real good. I mean, we're going to compare it against the Bravia 8 Mark II. I feel like I should do that now since I'm saying it can beat it. Can an LED TV, can a full array LED TV from 2018 beat the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II? I think it can. I'm going to put my bet on the Samsung. Now, I have not compared them, so I don't actually know that. But I'm pretty fucking sure because that is the reference and this is in the same ballpark. So if it's giving me this kind of image, I can only imagine what it's going to do to the Bravia 8 Mark II. And then you're going to have so many people again, like always in the comments. You just make the Sony look bad. I'm convinced you hate Sony. Oh, you're just a disgruntled employee. It's like, guys, calm down. I own the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II officially, okay? It's my TV, okay? So at that point, you can't say I'm against Sony because I own a Sony TV. The hottest shit they've got right now, the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II. Well, I mean, like at a certain point, these arguments do have to stop because they just sound ridiculous. Because look at the contrast coming off of this right now. 2018. Can't make it up. Look at the yellows. Look at how brilliant the colors are. Now the reds are way better on the Hisense to the right. Reds are a bit pink on the Samsung, I'm noticing. A bit pink. And, you know, needs a little lemon pledge in that regard. Outside of that, though, I mean, they both look damn good. I'm looking at them and they look really good competing side by side next to each other. And it's that they look to a point of being very identical. I do notice depth in the clouds and the sky, gradients here, pulling ahead of Samsung in this regard for sure. And then here they're about equal. I'd say they're identical because while this is a little darker, that has better highlights and that gives you that impact that draws you in. So they're about equal here. Again, they're about equal here too. Same thing, about equal. I mean, yeah, it's scene to scene where they start tying. And I think that's the fun part about this whole thing. So without drawing this out too long, you guys already heard early on that this is a tie, as honest as a tie. Look how beautiful those reds are on the Q8FN, damn. I mean, there's a reason I fell in love with this TV and I started glowing about this TV back in 2018. And I love going in the backlogs of my demos because I'm able to see exactly what the hell that reason was. And yeah, it's one hell of a reason. That being said, though, I do want to see what you guys have to say about this comparison in the comments down below. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty. This has been very impressive to me. The Q8FN ties with the Hisense U75QG. So if your Q8FN died on you and you've been lamenting your Q8FN and wanting that quality, you see in real time that this has that quality. Yes, there are examples like now where the contrast will pull ahead, but then they kind of, it's equilibrium. They balance out and it's a give and take, and this is absolutely Q8FN territory, and it's just tremendous to see. With some things that the Q8FN can't do in some instances. So again, like gradations, like look at the improved color. So the improved color, it's like basically like a Q8FN with improved color and sometimes slightly weaker black levels, depending on the scene. I mean, choose your poison. But that being said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.